Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about, first of all, the golden rule of marketing. I've spoken about this before in the past multiple times. I'll continue to talk about it multiple times into the future because it's the golden rule, and success comes from repetition. So they tell me anyway. And then we're going to do some maths, podcast maths. Okay, now, maths can be tricky at the best of time, but when you've got two cameras, one here, one over the side, and I'm recording, so trying to do maths while on camera, that could be tricky too. So please forgive me in advance if I make some mistakes. I don't want any stinky emails that my maths didn't add up to 100%, but you'll get the gist of what I'm wanting to talk about anyway. So, the golden rule of marketing, what is it? It's simply this: the more people in your community that know you, like you, and trust you, the busier your practice will be. Now, I'm a big fan of breaking things down as simple as possible. So let's go over that again. The more people in your community who know you, like you, and trust you, the busier your practice will be. That's all you've got to focus on, getting more people to know you, like you, and trust you. Now, when it comes to making that happen, I think, again, this is where we're going to get into the maths now. There are really only 4 things that you need to be focusing on, okay? Now, I've broken all of practice down into just 4 components. Now, whether this is an oversimplification or not, I think everything comes under this umbrella. I've shared this little model with some smart people. They seem to think it covers most of the bases. So let's talk about, first of all, what these 4 things are. We'll talk about how that might help more people know you, like you, and trust you. We'll go on a bit of a journey there as well. Now, first of all, I'm going to just talk to you about what these 4 things are, and then we'll do some pie graphs, okay? So Jason, who's editing this, hopefully he'll put some fancy pictures up at the time. So if you're just listening to this and you're not good at visualizing pie graphs, then watch the video. Okay, so here's the 4 things. First of all, helping out the peeps, okay? We've got to be able to help people. If you're a chiropractor, a podiatrist, a dentist, Chinese med practitioner, whatever it is, can you actually help people? Can you get a result with them? If you can't do that, then let's not even start, okay? Get good at that. Now that takes time, it takes practice. You're not going to be as good a chiropractor when you get out in your first year as you will be after your 10 year, but it's an ongoing journey that even me, 22 years in practice, I reckon I'm a better chiropractor now than I was 12 months ago. And hopefully I'll be even better in 12 months time too. So this would bring up the fact that I think that we need to constantly be evolving as chiropractors, as naturopaths. When we stop learning, when we stop getting excited about being able to help our people, it comes through. I'm going to talk about a bit of headspace stuff in a moment, how I think it even comes through to that as well. So one of the things that we need to make sure that we're focusing on all the time is constantly being great at helping the people. Now, one that's a little bit less exciting than helping the people, but still incredibly important, is admin and systems. Now, for those of you that know me personally, you might have a bit of a chuckle to yourself when you're talking about admin and systems, because this wasn't an area in my life that I was great at. Certainly back 10 years ago, I was, and still am, very creative and entrepreneurial and a little bit of a kind of fly by the seat of my pants type sort of person. I wasn't great at writing down systems. I wasn't good at putting procedures in place. And luckily, I had some really great staff along the years that taught me the importance of this. And now that I have many virtual staff on the other side of the world, I'm a huge fan of the importance of systems. Systems allow us to multiply our efforts, allow us to take what the knowledge that we know and share it amongst multiple people. It's what allows us to provide a much better experience for our patients, for our customers, clients, whatever it is that you want to call them. I had a fabulous coaching conversation this morning with a great chiropractor in Adelaide who was telling me about all the amazing things that she used to do that led to internal referrals and better retention. There were welcome cards that she used to send out. There were follow-up phone calls that would happen. There are other great letters, and they all stopped happening. So there were systems that she did have in place that are there no longer. So administration is also the way that we look after our staff. Regular staff meetings, making sure we're caring and communicating for our staff. That's something that we have to get really good at. If you're not great at that, then don't have staff, okay? Get rid of them. But again, it's not rocket science. Also, we need to learn these things. So 2 things that we've talked about, first of all, are helping the peeps. Second thing that we went over there is admin and systems. Now, this wouldn't be the Marketing Your Practice podcast if I didn't have marketing in there as well. getting good at communicating the benefits of what we do, I think, is almost more important than the doing of what we do. But we'll get into that in a moment. Okay, so we'll hold back from that. But we have to be telling the world about what's going on. If we're not telling the world about what's going on, it's very hard for people to know us. Okay, if they don't know us, how can they like us? How can they trust us? This is an area, marketing, that so many of us, myself included, certainly for the first 5 years, completely ignore. Our whole approach to marketing comes under this idea of I just help people. If I'm good with the peeps, they'll bring other people into me. Now, this is a marketing strategy. Shouldn't be your only strategy. Sometimes we think that you should be either internal marketing or external marketing. It's not either. It's both. You should have systems in place. Again, there's those systems I talked about before. That means that you have internal strategies to help encourage referrals, improve your retention, and then you should have external strategies as well, so you're meeting more people. Now, the fourth and final piece of the puzzle is headspace. Okay, now, psychology, if you want to get fancy, I don't want to get kind of too woo-woo or anything like that, but headspace is what I'm talking about. How do you deal with the ups and downs of practice, of managing patients, of managing staff, of managing the unpredictability that comes around with things like COVID? Right now, I can't even go into practice. Actually, that's not true. I can go into practice, but it's very limited. It's quite stressful, and I have to make sure that I keep on top of my emotional psychology, my headspace, so I don't let it get me down. In fact, I'm using this time to work on lots of other things, create more content for you, for instance. All right, so let's summarize those 4 things, and then let's have a little bit of a talk about what I think is the weight of what you should be focusing on each of these 4 things. And maybe you want to start to think about now, do you see them as kind of a, are they, I was going to say 50-50, but that doesn't work when there's 4 things. See, here's where already we're doing maths on a podcast, and already I've made my first maths mistake. The 4 things were helping the peeps, systems and admin, okay, marketing and headspace. So let's look at our pie graph. Think of it in front of you now. We've got a big circle there too. Draw a line right down the middle. And I think half of all of your focus should be on, drum roll, am I going to say marketing? No, I'm going to say headspace and psychology. I think that's where the foundation of success comes in every area of our life, whether it be in your intimate relationships, whether it be as a parent, whether it be your own health, whether it be business, all those kind of things. Now, why do I say that? When I think about headspace, how we think affects our feelings affect our actions, and our actions affect our results. So our headspace, our psychology, has a huge impact around what we're thinking. Let me say this again, there too. How we're thinking, whether we're having stinking thinking or whether we're feeling energetic, enthused, excited, whether we're great with failure or whether we let it pull us back, but how we think affects our feelings. Now, when we're feeling a lack of energy, when we're feeling like we don't have a lot of choices, when we're feeling down there too, that leads to a certain amount of actions, or it leads to lack of actions. And when we're not taking actions, we don't get results. So I think we should be constantly working on our psychology, our headspace. It's one thing if people ask me again, what is the secret sauce to running a great practice, to having a great relationship, to, again, having great relationships. I'm on my second marriage, so I'm learning from that one there too. But as a parent, all those kind of things, I think headspace and psychology. All right, so that's half of our pie graph. Now, let's draw another line across the other half. So we're now dealing with a 25% portion. What's going to go in there? Well, I think the next important thing is actually marketing. Okay, now, there are an endless number of examples of products that have been inferior and yet have succeeded because of great marketing. Now, this one here might cause a little bit of tension for many of you out there too, but I'm going to talk about a product, Apple. In many ways, I think Apple is an inferior product, and I'm a huge Apple fan. So, just to the left here, I've got an iMac, I've got Apple phones. I have drunk the Kool-Aid as far as marketing and Apple, but I love the vision that they hold forward. So, I'm in the process of buying another computer at the moment. For me to get the same specs on an Apple versus a PC, it's like double the price. And, there's so many things about Apple products that are inferior from a technical point of view. Now, I think, they certainly look much better, but, PCs and those kind of things there now, they look much better than they have beforehand. But Apple has done a brilliant job with their marketing. They have literally created a tribe. It's why in so many marketing books we use them as an example. Now, you might disagree with me and say that they're actually superior products. we'll leave that for a conversation. But the world and business is full of products that have just been beautifully marketed. I mean, how else would we have companies like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Chanel, there you go, that sells handbags for thousands of dollars, and yet I can go down to Target or Kmart and I get a handbag for $10. That's all marketing. That's what it is. We need to have a marketing, we need to have a community outreach that's letting people know us. Remember, we go back to what the golden rule of marketing is. The more people that know you, like you, and trust you, the busier your practice will be. Well, if we don't have anybody knowing us, then it doesn't matter how wonderful you are. It saddens me to think about all the wonderful practitioners who are gifted at helping the peeps, who haven't been able to build a great practice because nobody knows who they are. So we've got to get people knowing you. And I think that 25% of your efforts should be going into letting the people in your community know just how damn wonderful that you are. So many of you have a gift. You help people. I was chatting again. I've had such a brilliant day of coaching today, working with a guy who was telling me his focus is on helping women, particularly with migraine headaches. He was giving me this little case study of this woman who was in her mid-20s. She'd been having migraine headaches since she was 8 years old. Basically can't sleep through the nights most weeks because of migraine headaches, and the work that he does just helps enormously. And now he's so damn focused with his marketing on finding more of those people. Like, that's what it's about. I feel, and I've told you beforehand, Seth Godin goes as far as saying, if you're not marketing what you do, you're stealing. So think, if you can help people like this guy can with migraine headaches and the other bits and pieces, if he's not out there spruiking from the mountaintops there too, then that's stealing. So I think an enormous amount of effort needs to go in it. Now, if my maths is right, we've got 25% of our pie left over. And I think that needs to be equally split. I have some debate about this one, between our admin system and helping the peeps. So yeah, there's some debate about that too. But I think it is important, obviously, again, if we don't have the systems to be able to run a practice, for us to be able to serve the people, if, for instance, you're always behind on your bills, so, your place is being closed, if you're not good at managing your finances, if you're not paying your staff, if you're not on top of your taxes, all those kind of things. Again, I've seen so many practitioners, sadly, another one that I was chatting with just this morning, who's in practice for 22 years and, we're still dealing with some of the financial challenges because he hasn't had the systems in place. He's earned good money for a lot of that time. 22 years as a chiropractor, should have all that stuff managed by now, but doesn't, because he hasn't had the business and accounting systems in place to manage all of that. It's not how much money we earn, it's what we keep at the end of the day. It's not just about income. It's about profit, what's left over at the end there too. So that's why I think that admin and that systems is so important. And then, of course, helping the peeps goes without saying. I said at the beginning there, we've got to have that to build our foundation upon. We can't miss that out there. Obviously, if we have a practice you've got stunning headspace and great marketing, good admin, but you can't help the peeps, it doesn't work. So this is not what I want you to think about, this pie graph here. And the reason I wanted to put it together is to ask you, how would you rate yourself? Where is your energy inside of this? Are you confident at helping the people? Great if you have there too. Where are you at with the admin, the marketing, and the headspace? And I can tell a lot when I'm chatting to somebody, when I know if their headspace is really lousy, then I know that they're going to be constantly in a state of self-doubt. They're going to be worried about failure. They're going to try things for a short while, and every time a brick wall comes up in front of them, there's going to be this massive amount of imposter syndrome that comes about. So as they need to learn new things, they struggle with those kind of things there too. If they've got fabulous headspace, but they're not marketing, then again, inside of that, they've got this practice that helps people, but again, there's no one coming in. And then that really challenges the headspace as well. So have a think about it, where you're at. Do you agree with my weighting of these 4 things? Have I missed anything? Let me know in the comments. Send me an email. If you see me in person, let me know. I'd love to know if I've missed something. And if you think the weighting of these should be different, I'm really up for discussion about that also. So, gang, until next time, thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. Keep working on your headspace. Get some admin and some systems inside of there too. And heck, man, while you're there, market. Tell the world about the great work that you do. So, I love you. See you all soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.